Hey, what's up, everybody? And this is a special Juice Opinions on a special night. Usually do them Friday or Saturday. It's Wednesday. For those that don't create content on YouTube, sometimes you just think about something all day and you can't wait till you. Not that you can't wait, but you just want to get it out, get it off your chest, so you stop thinking about it. So, and in case anybody's wondering, this is mostly sparked by OJ Player Essence and Retro Death debate, but it's not, maybe not what you think. So I'll discuss that. But I just wanted to say first, because people that have been following me for years know I don't really care that much about AAA third-party games, especially multi-plats. I don't buy a ton. I'm one of the people who don't buy a system for third parties, and it doesn't really matter to me if a system gets them. For me personally, I buy Nintendo systems for Nintendo games. The 3DS, I have 10 games. Every single one of them is a first party exclusive. PS4, I have 7 games. 5 of them are first party exclusives. Or one of them is a remaster of a PS Vita game, but you know what I mean. 2 or third party games. The Wii U, actually, funny enough, is the one system I bought the most third party games for. A lot of them are indie, but or digital only, but still it's third party. So I don't care that much about third party games. It doesn't matter to me as an owner of the Switch if it gets third party games or not, really. So, maybe because I said that, you're like, well, why even talk about it? Well, like I said, I watched OJ Retro Death debate, and I couldn't finish watching it. I think OJ, if you're real with yourself and you rewatch that, I think you might find it was very unfair, and just you needed a moderator. Let's just leave it at that. I don't advise anybody to go watch it, and I can't say that I feel good about having seen any of it. So anyway, there's a few things I want to address, not just from that, not just from a perspective of a person who doesn't care about third parties. I want to talk about a couple things, and then why I said on Twitter, I don't care about third party games. I'm just sick of hearing excuses about why they're not coming to the Switch. Some person was like, well, what you call excuses, I call facts, and so I just want to talk about, first I want to talk about the Western third parties, and especially at E3. And then I want to talk about 2 Japanese game announcements that came at E3 specifically. And I will be referencing some of the things from OJ and Retro Death's, discussion for that particularly. So Western third-party games on Switch. It is, 4 months in. Like I said, I don't really care that much, but even I was very surprised by the lack of announcements for Switch or third-party games on the Switch. So let's just go back. Launch of the Switch came out in March. It was kind of a they fast tracked it, so there wasn't a lot of stuff at launch. There was a few third-party games, and for me, I was just like, I get it. It's coming out in March after the Wii U. What happened there? I don't expect, because of the timing and everything, I don't expect a bunch of late third-party ports coming in March. Like we got Skylanders that just came and went, but whatever. I wasn't expecting NBA 2K17, Madden 17, stuff like that. It didn't make sense. So completely fine with how that went. But I was like a lot of people, including OJ, well, we got E3 coming. There will be announcements at E3. And I was expecting announcements. Do I need them? Did I need them? Or did it matter to me for judging E3? No. Nintendo still had a great E3. The tournaments, the treehouse, everything was great. I feel like they gained momentum with the Switch. Odyssey was game of show for a lot of people. But it was it's feeling a little bit deja vu and a little bit, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I thought there would be a few of the more, as RetroDeath says, standard third-party games being announced at E3 for the Switch. And I was really shocked that there wasn't any. We had 3 third-party games total announced, one which was leaked way in advance, Mario plus Rabbids, like the worst kept secret ever. Then there was Rocket League, really good kept secret. And then Starlink from Ubisoft, which comes out fall 2018. That's it. 3 games from third parties that we didn't know about other than Mario plus Rabbids. Those are the only games out of all the games we saw. The 42 games that Microsoft showed, like 20 plus. It was even more than 20. If you got a PC, most of those games are multi-platform on some sort, maybe not PS4, but you expected to see somebody, and you didn't. So I understand why people were like, whoa, like what the hell? None of these games are coming. Like, I expected somebody to step up to the plate. NBA 2K18, they, from the very beginning, they stepped up. They had NBA 2K13 on the Switch or on the Wii U at launch, sold terribly, but they figured they're going to try. FIFA 18, I mean, as much shit as I gave EA for not even mentioning the Switch at their press conference, which I still think was a huge mistake, just, as a Nintendo fan, to have them recognize and say, hey, we're proud of this game, that would have gone a long way. But FIFA 13 or whatever on the Switch, which was really FIFA 12, sold terribly, but they're bringing out FIFA 18, and they did it right. They didn't bring over 17. Same with NBA. They said, you know what, it's March. Let's not bring a late port. Let's bring the next game. And as in NBA 2K, they're like, let's give it the special edition, 100% parity, which is great. I feel really good about supporting that game. No, they were there from the beginning, and they're treating Nintendo fans like you get the special edition, you get in everything. So I have no doubt if any additional things came down the road that they would be there in that version. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about why there's people are surprised, like, because for the last 3 months, E3's coming. There'll be announcements. There's E3 coming. Heard that from a lot of people. I kind of expected the same thing. But the thing I wanted to talk about from the Western third party is any excuse, any reason you might have or feel is the truth or the facts. It's all irrelevant. We all know that they don't think the game's going to sell. They got some of the companies got burned with the Wii U, and they don't think it's going to sell. You can't really argue that. It's not that hard of a conclusion to come to. Now, they've never said that, and there's never been a publisher or developer ever stated that. They say, well, we're waiting and see. We're looking into bringing more support, but they'll never say. Maybe one person did say it was going to be based on sales. I think Ubisoft said, well, these games need to sell. Nintendo fans, you need to buy these games to get future support. I think that's about the closest, but we all know. So it doesn't matter what the excuse or reasoning people have been saying about certain games. If you counter it, which I could destroy, there's like 2 or 3. I'll give one example just to prove I could actually destroy some of the reasons or excuses. But when it all boils down to it, you can get through all those excuses, and then the last one's going to be, well, sales. Well, look at how third-party games sell on Nintendo systems. That's always going to be there, and it's always going to be a fact. And, that is what it is. So why even talk about when they got dev kits or not want to do rushed ports or the game was in development since 2013? Why does that even matter when we all know it's because of sales? I mean, it's just fact. So why talk about the other stuff when as soon as that gets countered or beat, that argument, well, then it goes right back to sales. Again, this was something that happened in the OJ debate with RetroDeath yesterday. When other points weren't working, it went to sales. And it's true. You can't deny that the Wii U games from third parties didn't sell. Well, most of them didn't. Some of them sold okay. Zombie U, Lego City, Monster Hunter did okay, you know, for being first time on a console or whatever. It was on the Wii as well. It was a port. Some of them were good. A couple of them, I guess, were good. Some of them, most of them were trash, and most of them were launch titles. So that list, the OJ, if I don't know if you're going to watch this, but that list, you know, a lot of those were launch titles, and I think the sales were, except for a couple, were really low. Like Tekken, I think, was really low. But you know, 200 to maybe 270, 270,000, 200,000, 180,000, whatever it was. Black Ops 2 was in the 300,000 sales range, and you know that you can't deny that that happened. But here's the thing: it's not the only thing you could go off of. Look at NBA 2K18; they got burned, but they're going to try again, and it looks like they learned their lesson. We're going to give the current version. We're giving you the option to buy the special edition, just like the other systems, day and date, everything. And so it's on Nintendo fans now, or, you know, not a lot of Nintendo fans probably like sports games, but whatever. If they do it right and it sells, then that'll be an example of, you know, maybe we should have had Call of Duty, but whatever. Got a little off track. But let me break down some of the what I call excuses. You know, they got dev kits late. All right, heard that for many games. I'm guessing Call of Duty. Pretty sure Call of Duty was one of those lumped into that. You could, but then again, as soon as you counter some of the excuses, it goes right to sales. So let me just break this down. Late dev kits. Okay, I hear this a lot. Activision makes Call of Duty. Activision makes Skylanders, right? So Skylanders was there at the launch of the Switch. So how late, what's the latest possible time you think Activision got a dev kit for the Switch? Do you think it was January? Do you think it was February? Do you think it was December, November? I would guess it was last 2016 at some point. And pardon me while my freaking pollen infested nose itches. I will turn off my camera for a second so you have to see me. But anyway, hate this crap. All right, so did they get a late dev kit? Let's say it was December 2016. Call of Duty World War II don't come out till November 2017. At the least amount, that's 10 months, but it could be over 12 months or longer they had a dev kit, all right? And then this game was in development 2 years before the Switch was even shown. They can port a game while they're still developing it. They don't have to finish the game and then port it. If they did, then you'd never would have seen on the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation, you would have never seen Call of Duty on the PS3 day and date with the 360, because they built the game for the 360 and ported it to the PS3 because of the architecture so different. Those games came out day and date, along with that Assassin's Creed and every other third-party game. You can port a game to another architecture while it's being developed, and from all these reports about how easy it is to port games to the Switch, you're telling me they couldn't get Call of Duty World War II, which is due out in November, and having a dev kit for at least 10 months, if not longer. You're telling me they couldn't be porting the game right now and have it their day and date? Again, as soon as I say that, well, it's not going to sell, so why bother? Then it goes back to that. So that kills two things. It's been in development since whenever. Well, it starts on PC anyway, and they can port it as they make it. So it doesn't matter. As long as they have a dev kit, you know, has it been just 2 months or something, they should be able to port Call of Duty to the Switch in less than 10 months. They did it for the Wii U. It launched, what, a week after for Black Ops 2. And they had all kinds of issues with lack of communication with Nintendo. The OS wasn't even finalized till the day the system came out. All those issues, they still got a good, very solid version of Black Ops 2, which I have, and I have the 360 version there. And it's like, if they could do it for that, why can't they do it for the Switch? Well, it's because it's not going to sell. It's not worth the time. Well, then why the hell did we even talk about late dev kits and games been in development for 2 years and you can't, for some reason, you can't start a port of a game? Breath of the Wild, they started the port last fall or last spring, right before the announcement that it was going to be multi on both systems. They started the porting process before the game was finished. So that's just one example, but like I said, it doesn't matter how many different excuses. It's always going to come down to the sales. So let's talk about the sales point of view. All right. It's a good business decision. It's smart business. It's dumb to spend money on a port and then it doesn't sell. Then they're not making money. Why would they do that? Okay. It's smart business. Well, I work for a corporation, almost $1 billion a year corporation with 80 different companies they own. And they make a lot of smart business decisions or decisions that are good for the business as far as bottom line. Guess how many of those decisions hurt the end customer, hurt the employees? I'll give you an example. And I wouldn't have a problem saying the name of the company I work for, except for they have all these stupid policies because they're a big corporation and, you know, signed all this bullshit that you can't talk about things and whatever. So that's the only reason I won't say the name, but it's a distribution, you know, global distribution, buy things from people who make product, and then we take orders from customers and we sell the stuff that we buy from somebody else. So we're a middleman, just like Walmart. Walmart doesn't make the games. They don't make the toys. They don't make the lawn furniture. They buy it from the places that do, and then they sell it to you. So a smart business decision, or maybe it's not smart in the long run, but smart for the bottom line, was to, instead of having the warehouse stay in Michigan, was to open a warehouse in Louisville, Kentucky, in the central hub, hire a bunch of temps at low dollar, save a bunch of money, and get stuff to people just as fast. You know, look great on the bottom line. Great business decision in their mind to the executives. But what happens when you're a customer-focused, customer-first kind of company with almost a 0% shipping error rate? What happens when you give all that responsibility to temps and people that have no training? And what's going to happen? Saved them a bunch of money on their report, you know, that they put to the CEO. Look how much money you're going to save. And guess what? Like a 15%, 20% error rate. Customers left out in the cold, had no one to talk to that had any experience. The business almost went out of business because of that. Bottom line, smart for the bottom line business decision. What'd they have to do? They had to bring all the shit back to Michigan, hire some of the people they had let go, and basically give the middle finger to all the temps in Louisville, because let's just face it, temps don't care. It's just like a renter of a house. They don't care. They're there for a week. They quit. Who cares? They tried. They'll get their unemployment, whatever. Where I work now, I think most people have been there 10 plus years. That kind of experience you can't replace with saving. It doesn't matter if you save $1 million a year on salary when you're losing 10 to 20 million in sales a year. So that's the only time they decided to make a change, is when the sales dropped off so far. They asked the customers why. Well, I get shipped the wrong stuff constantly, and people I talk to don't know what they're talking about. So that looked good from a business perspective to the bottom line, and it was almost catastrophic disaster. We've recovered. We fixed a lot of the problems, and we pulled out, and we're doing good now. But that's what happens. And my point is, not all decisions that look good to a business are good for the end customer, the employees, whatever. So a good business decision can be, and often is, anti-consumer. So you can't just, as a consumer, you can't just sit there and accept, well, it's a good business decision. But you also, I mean, it's just as a person with any kind of intellect, you can understand, hey, you know, they didn't make any money. They lost money on the Wii U ports. You know, I understand, you know, why they wouldn't, but some of them could take a chance. NBA 2K18, you know, Take-Two or whoever publishes that. FIFA 18, yeah, EA isn't going all in, but they're bringing us something. It would have been nice at E3 if another company had stepped up and said, you know what? Look at this momentum with the Switch. Look at how it's selling out. Who knows? It's between probably 3 and 4 million, 3.5 to 4 million sold. We don't know the numbers. It's about what the Xbox One was at its first E3 after it came out. And the Switch did it in 4 less months. So you see all this momentum, and you just would have expected something. And I don't think it's a ridiculous expectation to expect a Call of Duty or even, God, Madden. I don't even, you know, I don't even want Madden on the Switch. I'm glad it's not on there. I'm still mad that they have the exclusive NFL license, but you figured something. And I don't think it's ridiculous to have expected that. And then the thing that's just really puzzling to me is the people that are just okay with this to the point where, well, this is why, here's the reasons why. And it's like, who cares? You're a consumer. You know, I have a PS4 and a PC. Most of my third-party games purchases are on PC if I'm really interested in a game. You know, if I decide to get Battlefront 2, it's going to be on PC. I'll wait till a price drop, but because I'm not going to get PSN. But still, as somebody who took his Nintendo Switch to work every day this week to play ARMS, that is pretty appealing. The idea of being able to take like even Call of Duty or something, you know, yeah, you can't play unless you got the you know, you have a Wi-Fi hotspot or something. You can still play the single player, you can still play offline stuff. Even online focused games are coming to the Switch, and the portable nature. Maybe if your game has 0% offline functionality, maybe Destiny 2 is going to be like that. I don't know. But here's the thing. You announce your game and support, give it a chance. You know, the Wii U, again, the game sold bad. It was Nintendo's second biggest sales disaster ever. They're behind the Virtual Boy. So to judge it only on this anomaly that was the Wii U selling 13, 14 million or whatever is another dumb thing anyway. Like, that's the exception, not the rule to Nintendo hardware and sales. They use, you know, even the worst ones before that were 20, 30 million. And, you know, they're handheld. That's the other factor. This thing's also a portable. Their portables always do great. Like I said, there's momentum. You just expected something to be announced. And it was just, even to somebody like me who doesn't really care, it was just kind of surprising. And like I said, there's people that like Destiny or like Call of Duty, and they've never been able to play those games on a portable. You show some confidence. Hey, we're bringing Destiny 2, just as an example, to the Switch. You announce that at E3. Now you got Destiny fans thinking, I can play that anywhere. I can meet up with my friends and we can do, like, I can go to like E3 or one of these game conventions and find other people with Destiny, and we can just kind of sit around and we can all play like with like a Wi-Fi LAN connection and stuff you could never do. That would be like, you know, that Switch is something worth looking at. It's not third party's responsibility to sell the Switch, but if just one of them would have took that chance, you know, other than the sports games. And then it's like gives confidence to the non-Nintendo fans, the people on the fence, to quote Leveled Head, like, oh, Destiny's coming. Well, that's cool. I like Destiny. Oh, NBA 2K18's there. I love playing that game. There's 2 third-party games I like to play. Oh, and plus Mario Odyssey looks incredible. Zelda, I've heard so many good things. Like, why is that such a, ridiculous thing for a third party to want to maybe be, especially without how there's hardly any. If you're the one who steps up and you do it right, you give us the full game and stuff, probably be rewarded, but it is what it is. Like I said, you can look at it from a business standpoint, and as a consumer, like I said, business decisions or good business decisions aren't always good for consumers. And I had one more point. I just had it. I read a comment and then I lost it. Oh, and here's the thing. For all the good business decision talk, this will be the last thing I say in that. Then I'm going to talk about Monster Hunter Worlds and Dragon Ball FighterZ. I've been making this argument since 2013 with Grand Theft Auto 5. All right. You're like, well, it's not worth it to these guys to port a game. The Wii U, a port was like $1 million for one of these games, and they sell 270,000 copies. I don't know how much profit they get out of a $60 game, but it seems to me they broke even. But here's the thing. Here's my Grand Theft Auto 5 analogy or reason that I think it's BS. How many billions of dollars did GTA 5 make on Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, PS4, PC? How many billions? We're not talking millions. Billions. You didn't make enough money that you can spend $1 million or whatever it costs to port a game to the Switch now. Let me, if it's less or more, I don't know. Who cares? Even if you lose a couple 100,000 or break even or only make a couple 100,000, you've already made $1 billion. So what the fuck is the harm? Yeah, you can't do that for every game, but for these, especially Grand Theft Auto 5, that was an expensive game to make. I think it was like 300 million. Then the marketing was probably another 200 or 100 million, whatever, ridiculous. They made their money back. Are you penny pitch? Like, is Rockstar and 2K worried about, oh, we're only going to make a couple $100,000 on this? You've already made $1 billion. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, you made $1 billion. Who cares if you break even on a Nintendo version? Like, I don't get that logic. I understand a company that may be struggling like Ubisoft hasn't had a whole lot of success the last few years. I mean, they've sold in a couple of millions, but with their budgets, you got to expect they need to sell 5+ million copies, But for games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, I don't know what else would be a big one, Madden, whatever. And it's like, oh no, you're only going to make, your potential is millions, and your worst case scenario, you lose a couple $100,000 on that game that you've already made $1 billion on. Oh no, I don't understand that. And as a consumer, I don't understand why you think that's okay. Well, they're not going to make a ton of money on it. Why bring it? Because if you're proud of your game and it's a great game, give it to all the fan bases. That's why indie games I like so much, is because they just put their game on everything they can most of the time. And like Axiom Verge, it's on every possible thing it could be on. And I had no problem supporting that game. Bought it, loved it. I'm going to buy the physical on Switch just because I think it's the best indie game ever made. But I just don't understand games that made that much money, why you can't just, hey, let's see what Nintendo fans think of this game. Let's see what GTA 5 does on a Nintendo system. Not that I want that game. I have it on the Xbox 360. I think it's one of the most overrated games of all time. Gameplay is average at best. The driving mechanics are decent. Story's okay. But the world is awesome, and stuff like that. But anyway, that's it's just kind of an argument or reason that I never understood on these huge titles that make, like I said, billions of dollars. You know, it's like it doesn't make any sense. Just even if you break even, who cares? You know. But anyway, let's get on to, and this was directly from the OJ Retro Death discussion. I ain't gonna call it a debate because it wasn't. It was trash. But anyway, so Retro Death brought up two big ones because, yeah, the Western third parties not as surprising, and like OJ was saying, well, it's a Western, EA's for the Western media and stuff mostly. But then Retro's like, well, Capcom announced Monster Hunter Worlds and Bandai Namco announced Dragon Ball FighterZ. Those are two Japanese companies announcing games that we didn't know existed, and no Switch versions. Okay, so does sales factor into these games? Monster Hunter games sell great on Nintendo systems, especially portables. Never had one on an Xbox. Can't really say. I'm going to guess right now it's going to sell terrible. And the PSP had some Monster Hunters that sold really well. So, you know, I don't not surprised at all Sony's getting Monster Hunter Worlds. But why the fuck is Xbox One getting it? Well, they're trying to expand, you know, just trying to make it a little more easier, ease of entry. You know, it's quite a bit of a lighter version of Monster Hunter. But then they come out and said, yeah, it's the next official Monster Hunter. It's not a spinoff. So why isn't it coming to the Switch? Well, the game's been in development since 2013. It's a 2018 title. For all we know, it's a holiday 2018 title. You're telling me they, in having a dev kit, because we know Capcom has a dev kit, they already released a game, and they were there at the launch, or they were there giving input before the system was finalized. You telling me they don't have a dev kit? This since, you know, who knows, early 2016? And like I said earlier, you can port a game while it's being developed. You don't have to wait till it's done, like was being suggested by OJ. Wait till the game's done and then port it. Just port it while it's being made. Those excuses don't fly. Sales don't fly because Monster Hunter does huge numbers on the 3DS, especially in Japan. I don't care what you say about this game's focus being maybe trying to expand to the Western. The Japanese gamers are going to support this game more than the West, more than Europe. Maybe you combine the US, North America, and Europe, maybe it'll equal or come close to the Japanese sales. But Monster Hunter sells great on Nintendo's 3DS, which is a portable. Switch is a portable. Xbox One. What's the install base of the Xbox One? That's one of the other excuses. The install base. What's the install base of the Xbox One in Japan? I think sells less than 100 units a week for the last, you know, what is it, 3.5 years? You do the math. I'd be shocked if there's more than 150,000 Xbox Ones in Japan. So there goes your install base argument. Well, they're planning on this game selling in the West, and the Xbox One has a good install base in the West. Yeah, but it's not going to sell on the Xbox One. Well, it's easy to port. It costs them nothing. It's not going to sell anything. So even if it costs them minimal, what's the point? And the Xbox One X was announced. It's not just a simple, well, it's x86. Ooh, it's just click. It's on Xbox One. Now they got to have the Xbox One OG. I don't think the S is much of a factor, but then, oh, we got to have it enhanced for the Xbox One X. Now we got to figure out 4K and get that all optimized. Of course, though, it's Xbox One. They gets most third-party games. But to me, there's no excuse for Monster Hunter Worlds not to be on the Switch, especially if you're putting it on Xbox One. The Switch is easy to develop for. We've been hearing that for 4 months now, maybe longer, 6 months probably. Docked, its power point is not much below the Xbox One original. Undocked, we've seen how great games can look undocked. You lower the resolution, change some settings here, and I think most of the indie games, and even, I mean, some games, Mario Kart 8 looks amazing, but it also looks amazing on my TV. But there are a lot of games where I feel look better in portable mode. So it's been proven that demanding games, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, can look amazing in the portable mode. There's no excuse. Well, Monster Hunter Double Cross has been announced. It's coming out in Japan probably by the end of this year. That's a port of a 3DS game. In Japan, they've already bought that game. We haven't got it here. B, they have multiple Monster Hunter games all the time. They get more than one a year sometimes, especially the RPG one. That doesn't bother them at all that there's multiple Monster Hunter games. You can announce this one and still have Double Cross in 2017, Monster Hunter Worlds in 2018. It's not going to be a problem for Monster Hunter fans in Japan. They don't care. Over here, we don't get hardly any. I'm not a big fan, but they bring them out a little less frequently to the US. They only bring kind of the major ones, and supposedly this is the next mainline Monster Hunter game. There's really no excuse. What's not going to sell? Wii U version didn't sell. Wii U wasn't a portable. The Wii U didn't have all this hype and momentum. The Wii U was Nintendo's second biggest failure. Monster Hunter sells awesome on 3DS. Like Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate sold 2.6 million in Japan alone, and then 1.5 million in Europe and the US combined. You tell me that, and I'm saying the Switch is going to sell that because the install base isn't as big, but you're telling me that game is not going to turn a profit on the Switch version. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Come at me with any excuse why Monster Hunter World isn't coming. Well, there's a rumor that they're making an all-new one. And the rumor also said they just started it. So when's that coming out? There's just absolutely no excuse. Especially coming from Capcom. We want more RAM in the system, Nintendo. We want to bring our game engines over. Not one freaking game. Meza T, great video. Capcom was there when the system was being designed. They bring us a port of an Xbox Live arcade game and nothing else. Oh, maybe they have something in the works for 2018. They didn't want to announce it. Okay. Maybe they're waiting to announce Monster Hunter World at a Nintendo Direct. Doubt it at this point. It has happened before with third-party games and Nintendo, but there's no reason this isn't a Switch game. There's absolutely no excuse. And if you feel that like you think there is an excuse, why are you making excuses? Why are you accepting that? Especially if you're a Monster Hunter fan and you've been buying the games. Capcom would be out of business if it wasn't for 3DS owners and the Monster Hunter series, and that's a fact. They wouldn't be making games anymore. Nintendo puts 2 Capcom characters in Smash Brothers, which is the biggest selling Smash Brothers with 3DS and Wii U combined. You got Ryu and you got freaking Mega Man. Where is the support from Capcom? Like, that is ridiculous. Out of all of this, out of everything E3 related, third party related, the fact that Monster Hunter World isn't coming to the Switch. Well, they did say they have nothing to announce at this time. They did correct that, but the fact that it wasn't revealed with the other systems, PC, Xbox One, PS4, the fact that it's on the Xbox One at all and not the Switch is just insulting. It's just plain and simple. There's no excuse for it. And okay, I forgot to say disclaimer in the beginning. I'm recording this June 21st, 2017. I acknowledge that there is a chance that some of or all of these games could be announced after this video goes up before the end of this year. There's a chance that Monster Hunter Worlds gets announced later on. I am not going to deny that. And if it does, I'll be on here making a video saying, hey, I was wrong, or maybe I won't. I don't think I will in this case. And again, a rumor about a game that just started all new for the Switch makes no sense because you can have that game and have Worlds. Now, as a person who isn't a big Monster Hunter fan, I'm not sure what the excitement level is for Worlds and how casual they've made it, but to me, absolutely no excuse. So there's no excuse. I don't care. It started in 2013. Who cares? It's not coming out till 2018. They've had dev kits. Capcom probably had the first dev kits. There's no reason they couldn't have started the porting process immediately. So, next game, Dragon Ball FighterZ, shown off at Xbox One at Microsoft's press conference. A 2D fighting game, which Xbox, is kind of known for the Killer Instinct franchise being good on Xbox One. Microsoft might have paid to have that shown at E3. But this, to me, this isn't as big of a game, and it's not like Dragon Ball was funded by 3DS owners for the last 5 years. So this one is more absurd for a different reason that it's not coming to the Switch. So let's go to the OJ Retro Death debate. Well, Dragon Ball Z has been in development. They got late dev kits. Isn't it Bandai Namco? Isn't that who's making this? Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody, pretty sure. I'm 99% sure, but if somebody in the chat can confirm, Dragon Ball games come from Bandai Namco. I don't know who else it could be, but so, all right, lost my train of thought. Let's start over. So Dragon Ball FighterZ, no plans for it to come to the Switch at this point. Showing off for Microsoft. And late dev kits. All right, Bandai Namco. Aren't they bringing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2? Oh, so Namco's publishing. I don't know who's the developer, but whatever. Namco's publishing it. Xenoverse 2 coming to the Switch. Fire Emblem Warriors? Or is that's Koei Tecmo. So forget that one. It seems like there was another Bandai game, and I just freaking lost but anyway, Xenoverse 2, that's coming out. So they had a dev kit long enough to have Xenoverse 2 coming out. Oh shit. When is the I forget what the release date for that, September or something, October. So you got a game coming out. Is Namco Pokken? Maybe that's the game I was thinking of, Pokken Tournament. Either way, they've had a dev kit. They're making a game, at least one. Here's the kicker. Dragon Ball FighterZ, confirmed to only be 20% done, and uses Unreal Engine 4. Why is that important? Because the late dev kit doesn't even matter because it's only 20% done. It's Unreal Engine 4. Isn't there a support to Switch button on Unreal Engine 4? Native support by the Switch? Am I mistaken? Of all the games, especially this one, a Japanese developer, they're already making a game. Unreal Engine 4 natively supported on Switch. Only 20% done. Why is this not coming to the Switch? It's hand-drawn art style? You're telling me Nintendo fans don't like that kind of art style? They don't like fighting games? Come on. Xenoverse 2 is coming out, so it would cannibalize if they announced this game. It already did because they announced this game. Announcing Dragon Ball FighterZ before Xenoverse 2 come out on the Switch, even if FighterZ doesn't come to the Switch, tells Dragon Ball fans, hey, fuck that Xenoverse 2, fuck getting a Switch. I want Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, you've already killed Xenoverse 2, which a lot of people don't even like. A lot of Dragon Ball fans don't like that 3D combat system. What happens if you did announce it for the Switch? Well, Dragon Ball fans say, well, I'm getting Xenoverse 2, which not the best, but I'm also getting Dragon Ball FighterZ. As a Dragon Ball fan, I can feel confident buying a Switch because I know I'm already getting 2 games. Like, are you kidding? You don't think that would benefit the other game? Like, I don't know, if I was a Dragon Ball fan, I'd be stoked to know there was 2 games coming instead of just one. But like I said, Unreal Engine 4, native support. There's absolutely no reason. Well, sales. Xbox One, Xenoverse 2 sold 270,000 worldwide on Xbox One. It's more than I thought it was. But wasn't that number, 270,000, wasn't that too low for third parties to bring their next game to the Switch, or the Wii U, I mean? And then now the Switch? Isn't 270,000 not enough to justify bringing their next game to that system from that, or that company? Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, I forget what that one sold. That was on 360. I think it sold a little bit better. So you can't, it's coming to Xbox One. There's no install base of Xbox One in Japan, even though Dragon Ball is popular elsewhere. But what's the excuse? There isn't one. The fact that you even think it's, you can make an excuse and that's okay as a consumer for this game not being, well, it hasn't been announced, but if you guys enough demand, we might consider bringing it. And then they said, but it wouldn't be their day and date. Why wouldn't it be their day and date? Why is that? Why is no one else calling them out on that? Like, why wouldn't Dragon Ball FighterZ be day and date? An Unreal Engine 4 game, only 20% done, coming in 2018. Why the fuck wouldn't that be day and date? Snake Pass. I've used this as an example. OJ tried to deny it because it's such a small game. It's an indie game. Unreal Engine 4, 3D platformer, physics-based, advanced lighting, anti-aliasing. They ported in a couple weeks to the Switch. Yeah, they put out an update a little bit later to fix a few minor bugs, but that's how fast a small indie team could port a 3D platformer with, like I said, physics and all that to the Switch. I don't care what anyone says. That game looks beautiful in portable mode. I played about 2 hours of it while listening to the Treehouse last week to get 100% in the game. Unreal Engine 4. Now, maybe Dragon Ball FighterZ, maybe they're 3D character models, but it's a 2D fighter. So lower the resolution, lower something. If Snake Pass could do it with a small team in a couple weeks, I would think Bandai and what was it, Art System Works or whatever, Arc, I think they have enough talent to port the game and have it day and date, since it uses Unreal Engine 4, which is natively supported by the Switch. So as any Dragon Ball fans, any Nintendo fans, if you think it's okay that you have to port beg for that game, if that's basically what they asked for, that makes no sense. Now you're like, well, the Dragon Ball games don't sell on Nintendo systems. Well, they didn't sell on Xbox One, but Xbox One's getting it. Well, it's x86. Well, Xbox One X, they're going to have to, because I think that was one of the games that enhanced for Xbox One X, I'm pretty sure. So that's not just a simple little click a button, oh, it's on Xbox One now. So to me, those two, there's absolutely no excuse. The install base sales argument actually works against those games because they're coming to Xbox One, and especially Monster Hunter, which sells amazing on Nintendo's handhelds. I don't know. I just think those 2 games out of all of them, I think that pushed people over the edge. I think that was probably the spark that lit this fire, this debate, this disagreement. Like I said, I don't care about third-party games that much, but also sick of hearing people make excuses for third parties for all the reasons I just gave, and it's been, way longer than I thought, 50-some minutes probably now, maybe 45. So, yeah, I didn't mean to ramble on this long, but it's like I said, I just had to get it off my chest, say it out loud, and, what do you guys think? And did you expect E3 to have more than 3 games, a couple of them fairly minor, being because Rabbids we already knew about, and Rocket League, yeah, it's a pretty popular game. And then Starlink, it's like, where'd that come from? But did you expect more? Because I did. And like I said, it doesn't affect me as a Switch owner. I don't really care. But like I said, NBA 2K18 comes out, As long as it's not like, oh my God, this game runs at 20 frames per second, I have no reason to not support that game. They've done everything right at this up to this point. And like I said on the podcast many times, I've always liked the 2K. I actually own the first two 2K. I don't know if it started with 2K and then 2K1 or if it started with 2K1 and went to 2K2, but I own the first two on the Dreamcast. And I always liked them, but I never had a friend that was into basketball. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I do enjoy playing those games from time to time. I love Double Dribble, and I like the first two 2K games. Just hadn't really gotten into them in a while. Something I normally wouldn't buy, but because, hey, they're doing the right thing by Nintendo fans, and it's not like FIFA where it's just a sport I could care, absolutely nothing about, even though FIFA games were fun on the Super NES. And it's EA, so I really don't want to support them, but I have no problem picking up that game because there's another reason. I can take that on the go, and I hand a Joy-Con to somebody, and that's a pretty easy pick up and play kind of game, and I have no problem with that. So I'm going to support that game. Normally I wouldn't, so you can say, well, you're just buying it because it's on a Nintendo system. True, and that's a missed opportunity for some other games. I'd never buy Destiny 2. I don't care if that came to the Switch, just because I'm not interested in co-op games like that anymore. And that trailer really didn't do anything to excite me. But I might pick up World War II if it was on the Switch. I mean, I'm not against a first-person shooter from time to time. I get sick of them kind of quick and don't need them every year. But I might have picked that up if they announced that and stuff. They didn't, so whatever. It's not that huge a deal, like I said, but it also, I think it's time to just stop making excuses and just say, hey, I realize they don't think it's going to sell. It's unfortunate, and let's move on. There's nothing else you need to say. I know Real Gamer's in here. His big thing with the Wii U was how third-party support dropped off. He was hoping that be his one console, his HD console, that he could play his Nintendo games and third-party games. I remember those days. And Dave, what was it? Maybe it was Real Gamer, and then the other guy, Dave's had enough. That was kind of his main point. I think a lot of guys got over that and just realized, hey, I got to have another system. Plus, there's PlayStation 4. There's some pretty good exclusives out there, so there's no harm in having that. But the Switch's biggest benefit, that portable nature. Like, I love playing ARMS on my lunch, playing the Grand Prix in portable mode. Looks good, plays great that way. And that's a big selling point. Be able to take it, like Robert went to E3 and was taking the Switch. He didn't really talk about, having a Switch and if you like ever played Wi-Fi or with Mario Kart or anything like that, but that's a big selling point. And I thought that's another thing. I thought third parties were like, well, the 3DS was always so underpowered. Nintendo's handhelds were so underpowered that it just didn't make sense. We tried like Pro Evolution Soccer on there, and it looks all right. But now you got a portable that can do these games with minor sacrifices, if you ask me, compared to Xbox One X, like, and PS4 Pro, obviously, bigger sacrifices need to be made. But compared to Xbox One, just look at Snake Pass again. Look at Digital Foundry's analysis. Minimal sacrifices had to be made to get that game on the Switch running at the same frame rate. They took away some, effects like the water ripple, and it's just not quite as sharp. It's not as high resolution, but that's good. That was a good port. Thumper. Minor sacrifices to get that game on Switch from the PS4. So again, it's a portable. I thought third parties would be like, hey, we tried Call of Duty on the Vita, but that system's just not as powerful. It didn't work. Here's your opportunity. You don't think people would that have a Switch, let's say Call of Duty fans, like, man, that's a cool idea. Go over to a friend's house who also has a Switch with Call of Duty, and now you don't have to play split screen, but you can be in the same room. You used to have game nights. People come over, bring their monitors and their Xboxes and power strips so they could plug everything in so we could all be in the same place and have fun. It's so much simpler with the Switch, and even if you want to, you can bring your dock and a monitor and play that way. So I thought for many reasons, the momentum, the excitement, the sales of the Switch so far, and the fact that now you're getting your major game is also on a portable. I just thought that that would be something we would see. Now maybe next year, but going back to Meza T, he made another video about you built Nintendo's the Switch install base is gonna be built upon Nintendo games, and then let's say 2K18 does well, and they bring 2K19 and does well again, something like that. Those fans were there from the beginning, but now next year you're like, oh, we'll bring Call of Duty this year, or we'll bring Assassin's Creed this year. It's like, yeah, you might have some people who buy that, and you might have some people, oh, now I'll buy a Switch. Now I know it's getting better third-party support, but I don't know, it's kind of almost too late. Hey, the system's popular now. It's got 20 million install base in a year and a half. Let's bring games. Well, now you got to start, and by the time your game comes out, it's going to be 4 years into the Switch's life. It's like, I don't know. It is what it is, but like I said, all you got to say is third-party companies, developers, publishers, mostly publishers, they don't think the game's going to sell. That's not why it's coming. That's the reason it's not coming. It sucks. It's unfortunate. Let's move on. But like I said, a couple games like Monster Hunter Worlds and Dragon Ball Z don't make sense on any level, especially sales with Monster Hunter. Even if they are bringing another game later, just doesn't make any sense. So, but like usual, I'm not mad. I'm not ranting. I called some people's names out, but no hard feelings. I think OJ, I'll just say I think he realized that maybe that debate wasn't done right, and that he maybe wasn't as appropriate or as courteous as he should have been, and I think he knows that. So, no hard feelings. I'm not mad at anybody. And Real Gamer, I know that at this point you feel like you kind of accepted that you're just going to have all systems to play Nintendo games and play third-party games, and it is what it is. But I'm wondering if you were expecting more announcements at E3. I've been caught up on a lot of YouTube videos lately, so I don't know if you made one, but just somebody I know for sure that was adamant about the Wii U not having third-party support, even though it did. The first 2 years were, I mean, there was a lot of games, and they just didn't sell, so we didn't get any more. But I'm just curious, as a Switch owner and multi-console owner, people like you, anyone else felt that way about the Wii U, if you're like over it, you're used to it, or did you expect more at this year's E3? So I want to just thank everybody for tuning in. I know it's a hot button topic, and I usually don't do these. I usually just wait to my usual scheduled time. But like I said, I didn't want to think about this for another 2 days before talking about it. And it'd be nice if we could just calm down. I know the Twitter stuff gets a little heated, though you don't have much text space to like really say what you're saying. So sometimes people take stuff the wrong way. You can't detect subtleties or sarcasm or anything. But it really just comes down to the Switch is doing way better than the Wii U as far as the momentum, as far as the marketing, as far as mind share. So I think maybe we can stop just saying, well, it didn't work on Wii U. It's not, so that's why it's not coming to the Switch. At some point, maybe we can just say the Wii U was what it was. It was a failure. The Switch doesn't look like it's going to be. So how about we start over, third parties, bring some games, and so we don't have to make these videos and these debates and have this discussion. So it is what it is. It's something to talk about, and it's nice to have stuff to talk about. But I'm just sick of, ever since Splatoon 1 and the whole voice chat situation, it just feels like every chance there is, people find a way to be on opposite sides of an argument. And I don't care, like I said, I don't really care much about third-party games, but if you're fine with the fact that there wasn't shown at E3, that's fine. I'm not mad at you, and that's cool. But if you're upset and you really wanted Nintendo and third parties to remedy what happened in the last generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, and you're mad about it, that's fine too. Like, I don't care. I'm not mad at you. I tend to be more on the side of we should have had some more announcements, but I'm also whatever. I got amazing Nintendo games to play this year, and some great indie games. Where the hell's Ukulele though? I don't know. No announcement of that. That was another thing about E3. Where's the third-party indie game announcements? There was none of those either. No updates on certain games, and it was just kind of a weird thing. And it was the only blemish on what I thought was an amazing E3 for Nintendo, is the fact that EA didn't even mention the Switch, and other big third-party games didn't say, hey, we know you guys are excited about this system. We're putting a game on it. We're excited about it too, and let's see what happens. That didn't happen. So anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to go play some ARMS like I should have been doing the last hour instead of making this video. Love that game. It's a everyday, at least an hour for me. And I can't wait to play it right now. So if you have the game and you're on my friends list, you want to play some ARMS, that's where I'll be in about 5 minutes. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And the chat's been very active. I haven't read it, so I don't know what's been going on there. But we'll see you guys next time. Probably Monday's podcast. I don't think I'll do another Juice Opinions on Friday. So we'll see, though. But see you guys later.